It was the most beautiful way of seeing something I dreamt of come to life, all because I allowed my vulnerability to take place, to hold space for it, and to authentically own it. Hey everyone, welcome back to A Talk with G. I am Gia, your host, and I'm thrilled to continue our journey into identity and spirituality. If you joined us for the last episode or didn't get a chance to catch it, we were exploring personal transformation and how spiritual practices can spark change. Today, I would like to focus on something that often gets overlooked in this process. I'd like to dive deep into vulnerability. Vulnerability is often viewed as weakness, but I see it as profound strength. It is the gateway to connecting with our authentic selves and with others. When we embrace vulnerability, we open up ourselves to genuine growth, understanding, and compassion, not just for ourselves, but also for those around us. It reminds us that we are all humans navigating the complexities of life together. As we dive deep into vulnerability today, think of it as the next layer of the onion. Each layer represents our experience, beliefs, defenses. And when we peel back those layers, we uncover our true selves. It is in this vulnerable space that we can explore our feelings, desires, and fears more authentically. Vulnerability has been my greatest teacher thus far, guiding me to insights and connections I never expected. I'm excited to explore this topic with you all. So, what does it truly mean to be vulnerable? At its core, vulnerability is about opening up to uncertainty, risk, and emotional exposures. It is that leap into the unknown where we confront our fears and insecurities. Allowing ourselves to be vulnerable means stepping outside of our comfort zones. Yes, it is going to be uncomfortable. It's going to even be scary and terrifying for some. But it also presents opportunity to explore a deeper aspect of who we are. Let's take a moment to unpack the myths surrounding vulnerability. Many people equate it with weakness or believe it's something to avoid. I know growing up, I've seen that firsthand. Even now, I still see it. However, it is crucial to recognize that vulnerability is a universal human experience. We all have moments of doubt and fear that can feel very isolating. Yet, it is in those moments that we can forge our deepest connections with others. When we are able to share our vulnerabilities, when we allow others to see us as we truly are, this fosters a sense of belonging and understanding, creating a space where we can feel safe to explore ourselves, especially with the groups of people or individual that share something similar or might have felt something similar. Let me share a personal story that underscores, highlights, bolds this point. A while back, I found myself grappling with the fear of expressing my feelings, especially regarding significant changes in my life. Putting my face on social media, putting my voice out there. I was so scared that if I started to share my thoughts, my insights, things I found amazing, things I didn't like, put my opinion out there, I was going to get judged. I was going to get rejected. I feared that exposing myself would push people away rather than bring them in closer. And because of that fear that I never shared with anyone, I didn't do anything for years about it. I had so many opinions, so many thoughts, so many things I wanted to share, but that fear kept me back from going there. About 6 months, maybe 8 at this point, I met this incredible group of people who changed everything for me. That group of people who had no idea who it was, didn't know anything about me, we started to work together. They started to hear things I had to say, and they're like, you should share it. You should share this. People would want to hear this. They started to encourage me to embrace my voice, assuring me that things I was saying needed to be heard. Things I knew needed to be put out there because not everyone had the knowledge around that. They gave me this unwavering support They inspired me to take that leap of faith. They literally were holding my hand, even though they were nowhere next to me. When I finally took that leap because of this incredible group of people who are now my friends, who I can honestly say that when I post something or do anything out there, they're the first that I set into. I experienced this overwhelming sense of relief. Not only did I get lighter, but I realized that a lot of people have their own stories of fear and transformation, especially within this group of friends. I realized a lot of people out there like what I had to say or share. They can connect with me. And it's not to say I didn't have this support prior. It's just I did still hold the fear with it because I wasn't being completely honest with those prior to this group of friends about how I truly felt. I used to joke about it. But when I gave into this newfound vulnerability and I forged this authentic connection with people I had no idea who they were, meeting them for the first time, joining this cohort with them, I ended up creating this tight knit support network built on shared experience, built on shared fears that I began to post daily. On my social media, I have affirmations to go up. I share religious aspects. I share songs. I share pretty much anything at this point, which became a very powerful outlet for my voice. And I've noticed it resonates with a lot of people. For instance, this podcast was something I wanted to do forever, but that fear held me back. The not knowing held me back. Meeting this group, hearing everybody encourage me, it like birthed a new spirit of sharing and connecting, allowing me to express myself and engage with everyone in a meaningful way. It was the most beautiful way of seeing something I dreamt of come to life, all because I allowed my vulnerability to take place, to hold space for it, and to authentically own it. Now, with that being said, that I had a new group of people hold my hand to take this leap, I also learned that vulnerability impacts my current and past relationships. That as I allowed myself to be more open and honest with my feelings with this new group of people, my experiences, my feelings, I was able to start sharing that with past friendships, past relationships, past anything, people that were in my life for a long period of time that I was not able to be this vulnerable with. I was now able to share with them on this level. I cultivated this trust and intimacy with friends, with a romantic partner, with my siblings, with my cousins. You think about it. Like I was able to share with my mother, even. I started sharing my vulnerabilities to the next level that I started to deepen my bonds with them significantly. Many fears were holding me back. They hold all of us back. Those fears hold us back from being vulnerable. And the fear of being judged and misunderstood is the biggest one that always come up because we often worry that when we are honest at our rawest points, we will drive people away rather than bring them closer. But what I realized on this journey with my vulnerability is that it's not only sharing my struggles with them. It's not only just, hey, I'm feeling down or I have this thought, I'm scared. It was also celebrating my joys and my victories. It was being open about the highs and lows of every experience. I was able to paint a fuller picture for those close to my life and invite a deeper connection with them. You see, vulnerability transformed how I was interacting with those I cared about. When I started to share my fears, they started to share their fears. And it was this amazing exchange because now I was letting them in. I was no longer afraid to say something. I was showing them a different side that they were able to do it back. I encouraged them to give me their deepest moments that they were afraid to be seen for. This created that bond and strength for our relationships that we didn't have because now we were on another level. And it's not to say we didn't support each other before because you always do support people you care about. But now I was so authentically myself with them. They felt genuinely connected to this version. They loved hearing this because now it gave them somewhere to unload a vulnerability, a fear, a win, whatever it was going to look like. I'd opened this beautiful door for them. The next beautiful thing I learned with my vulnerability was how to bring it into my spiritual practices, how it amplified my growth even there. I've mentioned before, and for those who don't know, I meditate and I pray. I grew up on prayer. That's what we were taught. You go pray every morning before you left home. It's just like the rule. It's become a part of my life. And as I got older, meditation became another tool for me. I allowed myself to be open to the feelings that I was feeling, whether it was good or bad, through my prayer and through my meditation. It deepened my connection with my spiritual self on another level. It was no longer just like, oh, meditate because it calms you down, it helps your nerves. It wasn't just that. During my meditation, when I started to own my vulnerability, I often confronted the feelings of inadequate or fear. And before I'd be like, that's not what meditation is for. I can't do that. I have to just like stay positive. No, instead of shying away from those emotions, I was learning to sit with them, acknowledge their presence. Because I was able to acknowledge the presence of it, I could no longer avoid it. I started to light up the way. Think of like the lights when you're outside walking in a path and they start lighting up because it's dark outside. That became my pathway in meditation. I started to understand myself in a different way and accept myself in a different way. I was able to be okay with the feelings over flooding, understanding that I needed to feel these to get to the next path. I invite all of you to try this, whether you meditate or you're trying to meditate, or if you just sit in silence sometimes. Try and focus on your breathing and invite feelings of your fears and insecurities to surface. I get it. It's going to be hard. It's terrifying and nobody wants to feel that. But try to acknowledge them. Acknowledge those emotions without judgment. You might want to visualize them as clouds passing through your mind and recognize them as they're drifting away. Think of it like, hey, I'm owning whatever this fear is, and now I've placed it on this cloud and it's going. You need to feel it, I guess you could say. Not that you need to, you should feel it. Feel the rawness of that fear with the emotion of vulnerability and see how it comes up for you. I also mentioned earlier that prayer has always been my lifeline. I was taught that. It's something I still practice. It's what I've passed on to my child. When praying, we always give God our problems, or so I've heard, not judging, just saying. But have we ever thanked God in that process? When we ask for guidance and support and allowing ourselves to be open for whatever God is giving us or guiding us through, we're always usually in like a moment or a pickle of a situation, which is very powerful because you're raw with God. But have you ever just celebrated a joyful moment with God in your vulnerability? Have you celebrated the win? And not just by saying, thank you, God, like if you do pray, not saying everybody does and not saying you should, but when you do you give your vulnerability of winning, of how that actual moment of victory felt? Not, yay, I got something or I won something or it works out that way. Like, how did that moment feel when you actually won the lottery or you got the job or you did well on a test or you just had a great day? Have you ever been able to be that vulnerable with God, like expressing or the higher power of the universe? Have you ever been able to say, this felt incredible, thank you, and express the rest of it? I invite you guys, if you do prayers, to try that the next time something goes amazing. And it doesn't have to be something gigantic. It could be even the smallest wins that you want to share. Share that vulnerability. And for those who don't meditate or pray, I'm not telling you that's the only way to be in touch with it. We can cultivate vulnerability in our lives in different ways. And there's a few other ways that I've done it. You can journal, write about your fears, your hopes, your experience. It's a private way to process your feelings and find clarity. Writing is always an outlet. I think even if you don't like to write a lot, it's a beautiful way to unload your mind. Try open communication also. Start small conversations about your feelings with a trusted friend or a family member. That might help them open up to you too and builds your trust and your communication to another level. And I think the hardest one I've ever embarked on was being present with my emotions, accepting how I felt without judgment. Because our biggest critic is ourself. Integrating these practices has helped me feel more at ease with sharing my truth and connection with others on a deeper level. Whichever way you choose to open up yourself to your vulnerability and your experiences with vulnerability, I engage all of you to take a moment and breathe and allow yourself to sink deeper into this feeling of opening up your heart to the emotions that arise at that moment. Whether you're in a good mood or not, it's okay. Just breathe with it and allow that door to open. Think about what fears arise for you when you consider being vulnerable. What moments of courage have you experienced? Think about the wins that you've had that you've just said, yeah, I'm happy for it, but not felt it fully. Visualize these moments. Allow these feelings to wash over you. And if you feel comfortable asking for support and embracing your true self, and open up to others too. Take a few minutes in silence to sit with your thoughts. As we wrap up today's discussion, I challenge you to embrace vulnerability this week. Whether it's sharing your feelings with a friend, discussing a fear that's been holding you back, or simply acknowledging it on your own, even in prayer or meditation, even in your journals, take that step towards opening up. And any step you take is still a step, whether it's a small indication or a big one, it's still a positive step forward. Remember that vulnerability can lead to profound growth and connection. It can transform how we view ourselves and relate to others, enriching our lives in ways we might not even anticipate. Embracing vulnerability is not just about overcoming its fears, it's about cultivating a deeper connection with ourselves and those around us. And more than anything, it's allowing ourselves to feel. I want to thank you all for joining me today. I'm genuinely excited to hear your stories about embracing vulnerability and how it has shaped your journey. If you enjoyed these episodes, please subscribe and tune in for our next discussion. Feel free to reach out to me on social media or through my website. I love to connect and support you on your path, whether it's sharing your vulnerability, sharing a breakthrough. Your experiences inspire me, and I want to be part of your journey. Remember, vulnerability is a powerful part of transformation. Embrace it, trust it, and allow it to guide you towards your more authentic self. Also, if you guys feel like you need a little extra support with this journey, I do offer coaching sessions, so be sure to check that out. Until next time, take care and know that you're not alone in this journey.